Awesome. So the next thing we're going to be doing is actually laminating, or we're actually going to be just mounting this photo that we printed on the latex earlier onto a sheet, and we're going to kind of just walk through that whole process. So this is what we're doing. Liam over here is going to cut the sheet down first. So these sheets come in 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. What we do is, obviously not everything we do is 4 foot by 8 foot, so we cut stuff down to make it easier to work with. So he's going to be using one of our tools that we use back here. It's our cutter bar. This cutter bar fits anything that's up to 104 inches wide, and it'll cut anything that's up to ½ inch thick. This is what we touch almost everything back here with. So Bindery has their cutter, we have our cutter. This cutter will do a lot of specialty stuff for us. It lets us cut through our foam core posters, our paper posters, ultra board. Really anything you can think of that's under ½ inch thick, we'll find a way to cut with this machine. So right now Ultraboard has to be cut in 2 passes. The first blade will score that material, and a second pass will finally cut through the whole thing. So he just cut that piece down so it's a little bit smaller, easier to work with. And the cutter bar actually folds down. So when you're not using a cutter, you can use it as a big, nice work table. What we're actually going to do is that was something that was printed on the latex a little bit earlier today. And then because it's on canvas doesn't have a naturally adhesive back. So what we do is we set up what's called mounting paper or mounting adhesive on our laminator, which is our 4th big piece of equipment that's back here. This thing will, essentially mounting adhesive is a big piece of sticker. And it turns anything that's not a sticker into a sticker in layman's terms. That's pretty much what it does. So obviously satin canvas is not adhesive by nature. So we'll put on an adhesive backing to it. What Liam's doing right now is he's cleaning the sheet because obviously there's no way to clean underneath it. Once it's going through, you're pretty much done. Once that's stuck down to that board, there's no going back really. So he's gonna, what we do is it's called a starter edge. He'll peel off about a ½ inch to an inch section of it, of the backing. So this is essentially, it's adhesive here and there's a backing on the back part of this adhesive. He'll pull back that paper backing part and he's gonna do what's called that starter edge. So now that he has his backing pulled back, he's gonna do that little starter edge. And what he does is he folds back that 1 inch section and he creases it so it's out of his way. And then he's gonna let the whole thing kind of fold back towards him. And he's gonna push from the middle out. That way we don't get any bubbles or anything. And mounting canvas is pretty forgiving because this mounting film actually doesn't stick super, super well to the back of the canvas. So we have a little bit of play there. So he'll just kind of firmly attach it. And once that's ready, we're actually just gonna cut this lamination down. So this machine doubles as a laminator and a mounter. So back in the day when we didn't have the flatbed, we used to mount a lot more than we do nowadays. You don't need tape.
Oh yeah, sure.
So this machine is controlled by a little lever right here. You can just open it up and the top roller and the bottom roller kind of lift further apart from each other. And that lets you just pull, you can cut the craft underneath too. That lets you just pull all this scrap out. So this is what's left over after we put the mounting adhesive on the back of that print. So this machine also used to be a really big workhorse for us when we didn't have the flatbed, because obviously when we do 100 different yard signs couldn't print directly to it. So we would have to print it on vinyl, which would either roll under our latex, and we'd have to go through mounting each one with this machine. So now that Liam has his piece, he's gonna put it in here, and what we do is it's something that's called a wiggle test. So you'll wiggle this piece back and forth, and then you'll tighten this clamp down until it's kind of on there. With Ultra, you can go a little bit past that, and now that it's firmly secured, he can go through and flip the piece over the top of it. Again, clean the board one more time, because once it's going, there's no really stopping it. So if you get a big rock or something down there, it's gonna mess up that print, because obviously, depending on what it is, you can see that debris underneath it. So as he's cleaning, we're gonna pull this backing back, and we're just gonna click the pedal down here, and it's just gonna feed straight in. So this printer has a little laser that's right here. It's a safety feature. If it starts going and you trip that laser, it'll think somebody's hand's really close to it, so it'll slow down. So I can stop it right now. It automatically has this little safety feature. It'll stop if it's going and somebody's hand or something tripped that laser. That laser's here and on the backside, but once you're good, you can just let it stop and click it again. And this thing's actually tripping it right now, so we're gonna pull it back a little bit. And now that the piece is all the way through, you're just gonna let this board go all the way through it. And we're actually just gonna let it go, and we're gonna catch it on the other side. And that's what our laminator is used for. So now we can watch Liam cut the rest of this piece down and do final cuts. So the same way he cut that board down to make it smaller and easier to use, he's gonna do the same thing, except now he's gonna do a cut actually on it. So he'll cut a little bit of that material off and that picture, and we'll be good to go. And then we'll diagnose the print afterwards. So this is our industrial sewing machine. It's the newest thing that we got back here. It is meant for adding a double stitch to banners. So the edges, once you print a banner, you're gonna fold over 1 inch, and you'll go back and you'll stitch it with this machine. And this reinforces that edge so you can put things that are called grommets in. So grommets are these little tiny steel contraptions that will punch down on both sides of the material. It'll poke a hole, and this is where you hang zip ties, where you hang wire. So this has a wide range of uses. So one of the things that you like to do with this sewing machine is you'll print a banner on vinyl PVC banner on either the latex or the Roland, and you'll go back and you'll add a pull pocket. So it adds a little hole in the banner. You kind of fold over the top to a little bit, and you'll just stitch it there, and this gives you something that you can stick a dowel through it and it'll hang up. These ones were hung up on street poles on Mill Avenue. One possibility for it. Another thing that we do a lot of is 4 foot by 8 foot banners, and just any type of banner you can really think of. The edges we normally reinforce with hemming, which is what this is called. You'll put that double stitch along the entire side, and you'll go back, and that's where you're gonna put all your grommets. So when something has to be hung up with 10, 15, 20 grommets, you'll reinforce that edge by doubling up that material. So kind of these are little samples. These aren't meant to be big ones. These are just scraps of material that we have. But you can see that we folded over that material on the edge, and then you can put a grommet through that little section. That way, that grommet has a lot less of a tendency to rip out, because obviously when you're putting a grommet through one layer of material, it's a lot weaker than if it was doubled up or tripled up. So this is reinforcing the edge by hemming. That just lets us do some of the products. This will take us into kind of a lot of the things you can see over here. These are all our rolls that we use for everything. So this stuff will range from paper posters that we'll just use for standard conference posters when a student needs a one-off poster. It has all of our laminations that are right here. Laminations are something that will apply to the top side of either a paper poster or a vinyl graphic. There's stuff over here that's meant for floor graphics. So this asphalt art over here, this is really textured and really durable. This stuff is meant for literally going onto asphalt, and it will be something that's like a non-slip, and it's really durable. We have stuff over here, really a lot of different vinyls. So vinyl is a really specialty. You can have vinyl that's meant to be translucent, which is a couple of them back here. You can have vinyl that's meant to be a low-term, not super long-term graphic, which is called calendared vinyl. You can have cast vinyl, which is the higher-end version of that, which cast vinyl is actually activated by heat. So it has adhesive on the back, and this vinyl is cast as a sheet, and you can take it and go straight to a brick wall, put that vinyl on and heat it, and cast the vinyl to that concrete finish, and it'll look like the graphics actually painted on. So that's another type of vinyl we have. We have stuff that's meant for pop-up banners. We have really anything you can really think of that will run through our latex or our Roland. Another really popular one is window perforation. That window perforation has actually got holes in it. So 50% of it's covered, 50% is open. So you can put this on a window and people will be able to look through and look out, and it won't obstruct anything really. And some of the other stuff that we do back here is we do a lot of pop-up banners. It's a really big ticket item. People like to get pop-up banners so they can advertise and display at like events. So we have a few different ones. This is our premium right here. It's adjustable in height, so you can kind of adjust to what you need. And this will be our suite of products right here. So this kind of showcases everything we can do back here right now. It kind of shows you examples of what you can say. I have a satin poster paper right here, but what if I want to laminate it with matte lamination? Well, you can look up. The above one is laminated matte. You can say, what about dry erase lamination? You'll look right here. This one's dry erase. You can kind of just look at all the different laminations we have and how it affects your printed piece, that same image. And then let's say you wanted to go on and mount that to a board. You can see all of the different boards that we offer.